Tribalism, it's a growing modern day religious movement. What is its central thesis? It's that numerous peoples who have been historically oppressed by colonial powers are the descendants of the ancient Israelites. For example, the peoples who were brought to the Western Hemisphere as a result of the brutal and vile transatlantic slave trade, they're not Africans. They're not descendants of Africans. They're actually ancient Israelites, except in the modern day. Well, here we are. We're at Point Comfort near Fort Monroe. This is where the first recorded Africans reached U.S. soil in 1619. This date and this place are really relevant to a major Hebrew Israelite prophecy that a significant portion of them hold to. Let me show you some examples right now from some popular memes that are being passed around the internet by proponents of this 400-year prophecy so you can see for yourself. Before I explain the details of this 400-year prophecy that some Hebrew Israelites teach, let's take a look back at the relevant history. 1501 to 1867, more than 12.5 million Africans were caught up in the immoral transatlantic slave trade. Most European countries eventually were involved with this. In 1619, some kidnapped Africans were brought to Virginia right here. This is the landing point of the first Africans. They've been captured by the Portuguese from Angola, which is in West Central Africa. These captives were forced to march hundreds of miles to the slave trade port of Luanda. Leaving in a ship called the San Juan Bautista, they were carried along with 350 other slaves heading for Veracruz. While nearing their destination off the coast of Mexico, the ship was attacked by English privateers, the White Lion and the Treasure. They were not expecting to find human cargo, so they stole 50 or 60 of the captive Africans off those ships and then sailed for the nearest English port, in this instance, Point Comfort, here in present-day Virginia. John Rolfe, the widower of Pocahontas, actually recorded this, and he said that 20 and odd Negroes, this is a quote, were bought for victuals, which means food. Now, it's unclear exactly, as far as historians can tell, whether these folks were indentured servants or lifelong slaves. Many suggest they might have been released 15 to 20 years later, which is still longer than the average 7 years for the average European indentured servant, so they're still treated differently, to be sure. But either way, they were here against their will. At this time, though, slavery wasn't even sanctioned in the colony yet. Now, eventually, it became sanctioned. And it's interesting, one of the females, named sometimes Angela, she was taken to Jamestown, and her dwelling is actually currently being excavated. It's a major archaeological dig here in 2019. Now, back to the Hebrew Israelites. See, many Hebrew Israelite advocates, they view their situation in the United States of America as the Israelites' second captivity. And remember, these folks think they're not Africans, but Israelites. So they reason that since the first captivity in Egypt was 400 years, their second captivity now in Babylon, what they call the United States, will also be 400 years. They use biblical passages, for example, Genesis 15, 12 through 16, which talk about the 400-year slavery time of the original Hebrews in Egypt. Well, currently it's 2019, and these first captured Africans, as this sign commemorates, were brought here in 1619. 1619 to 2019 is 400 years. Therefore, many Hebrew Israelites believe 2019 is their last year in captivity. There's books about it. There's memes about it. It's all over the internet. But I still said only some teach and promote this prophecy. I would say maybe 15 to 20% hold to a version of this. And it's primarily the more independent types who teach this. But it's popular enough that even Kanye West has promoted this theory.
Prophecy says 400 years, 2019. Niggas ain't woke like me. Hop on the boat like me, y'all don't want smoke like me. Y'all supposed to be mad at me. Y'all ain't supposed to fight me. The prophecy say 2019.
Kanye. But why don't all the Hebrew Israelites believe this prophecy? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but there's one I want to draw your attention to. The One West faction of Hebrew Israelites have already been burned by false prophecy. In fact, in the mid-90s, the original One West school of UPK taught that Yahushua, that's who they called Jesus, was going to come back in 1999/2000 at the turn of the millennium. Ariah based this upon a false reading of Hosea. He was the chief teacher at the time. Let me show you some video examples of them teaching this false prophecy.
America will be blown off the face of the earth by the year 2000. It's talking about judgment day.
And he's coming back, and he's going to take down the white man, the Edomites. That's why your Pope is down in the ground. It's going to happen by the year 2000.
You really?
That's it. Yeah.
Because America's going to be wiped off the face of the planet Earth. That's going to take place before the year 2000.
That's right.
That's going to take place before the year 2000.
That's right.
That's going to take place before the year 2000.
That's right.
America has less than 628 days. America has less than 628 days. America has less than 628 days before this country is taken out in thermonuclear destruction.
This kingdom, America, is going to be destroyed before the year 2000.
And all you so-called white people, your condemnation, you are condemned to what? Hell. And you're going to be in hell, you're going to be oppressed before the year 2000. Christ is going to come back.
Museum America is going to be destroyed before the year 2000 by thermonuclear destruction.
Now, current One Westers excuse this debacle by saying it was similar to a situation as what happened with Jonah and Nineveh. You can watch my video on that and why that thesis is incorrect. At the end of this video, there's a link to it. Now, perhaps these Hebrew Israelites of the One West variety don't hold to this 2019 prophecy because they've already been let down in 1999. So, to the Hebrew Israelites who do hold to this 400-year prophecy of 2019, I tell them, you should probably get prepared to be let down again in 2019.